Henry Cavill may not be donning the red cape again, but he has a new gig which I'm pretty excited about. In partnership with Amazon and Games Workshop, the universe of Warhammer 40,000 will be brought to life on the big screen. 40k has tried to break into film before, but the less said about that attempt the better.
It's hideous!
So where will this new show be set? What will it be about? And will it be any good? Stick with me and let's find out. The 40k universe coming to the screen is an exciting prospect. It's like Marvel in the 90s with a wealth of plots that span multiple genres that are untapped. This deal has the potential to bring fascinating characters, stories and worlds to a mainstream audience. With over 25 years experience with 40k,
Whoop-de-doo!
I believe I can make some pretty educated guesses on the likely areas Henry and the team will choose to focus. If you have no idea what Warhammer 40,000 is,
What the fuck is this?
and you are still with me at this point, fear not, I will give you a very brief rundown of the plot before we begin. So, the plot of 40k. You could spend hours discussing this, but I'll attempt to do it in about a minute. The story starts with a godlike being of immense power, known only as the Emperor, uniting the warring factions of Earth around 28,000 years from now. He embarks on a conquest of the stars called the Great Crusade to reunite all of mankind's lost colonies. This would require an army, so he created 20 legions of super soldiers known as Space Marines, with each being led by a commander called a Primarch. The main big bad of the setting, the four Chaos Gods, weren't on board with this, so scattered the Primarchs across the galaxy.
Emotional damage!
The Emperor led his legions, conquering or annihilating every world in his path, gradually finding the lost Primarchs. At the height of the Great Crusade, the Emperor left it to focus on a project back on Earth aimed at ushering in the next stage of humanity. The Primarch Horus was left in charge of the Great Crusade. All was going well until a space marine named Erebus, who was tainted by chaos, hatched a plot that corrupted Horus. Brought under the sway of the Chaos Gods, half the legions and their Primarchs followed. This sparked a civil war against the Emperor known as the Horus Heresy. It culminated in an invasion of Earth. With the Emperor's forces split across the galaxy, he was outnumbered and on the verge of losing the battle, so he teleported to Horus's flagship to engage him in single combat.
I demand satisfaction! Oh! I challenge you to a duel!
Where he would emerge victorious. During the fight, Horus was slain, the Emperor was left mortally wounded, and interred on a machine known as the Golden Throne, which sustains him, in incredible pain, an inch from death. His psychic essence is maintained by the sacrifice of 1,000 unlucky souls per day, and for the last 10,000 years, humanity has been besieged by every alien faction the galaxy can throw at it, for in the grim dark future there is only war. And that about sums it up. With a galaxy so vast, where does the show begin? The most obvious point would be to start at the very beginning with the Horus Heresy. Games Workshop has already written countless novels, so the story is fleshed out. The narrative is of an epic scale, with intricate plot twists, and the exploration of post-human and human characters caught in a web of loyalty and betrayal. As Henry is also starring in the franchise, it would give him his pick of characters, from Primarchs to the Captain General. However, the scale of the Horus Heresy likely rules it out as a candidate in my opinion. There are 62 published volumes detailing the story. Trying to condense that down will be a nightmare. It would require such a large budget as well. I don't think even Amazon would risk that much on an untested IP. If the Horus Heresy was ever told on screen, I could only see it after the 40k franchise had proven itself. Another compelling option, akin to Band of Brothers in Space, is the Gaunt's Ghost series. It follows the journey of a single regiment, their trials and camaraderie amidst the brutal warfare of the 41st millennium. With a gritty atmosphere, it tells the human side of war through the eyes of unaugmented soldiers, which I think audiences could relate to. One advantage of adapting Gaunt's Ghost is its relatively low cost compared to more sprawling storylines within the Warhammer 40k universe. The focus on a single regiment allows for a more contained narrative and simpler production requirements, making it a practical choice for a film adaptation. By showcasing the brutal reality of combat and the indomitable spirit of humanity against the backdrop of a war-torn galaxy, Gaunt's Ghost can effectively introduce audiences to the themes that define the setting. However, I think there is one major roadblock to this series. There aren't any characters that Henry could play. Sure, there is the titular Ibram Gaunt, but he would be playing an unaugmented human rather than a Primarch level character. He's even stated he will have to be careful of who he chooses to play due to only having one shot.
There are a lot of characters from the Warhammerverse, the universe that I want to be, but I can only really be one, because once I'm one, then I can't be others.
A potential contender could be the Eisenhorn series. The novels focus on the Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn. For those that don't know what an Inquisitor is, think a sci-fi version of a secret agent with elements reminiscent of characters like James Bond or Sherlock Holmes. This would be an interesting story to focus on due to the gritty detective atmosphere combining elements of mystery, horror and action. Eisenhorn often battles with moral struggles that are not black and white, which would be interesting to see play out on screen. This series has the positive of being relatively cheap to produce due to not requiring large-scale battles like the Horus Heresy, it also serves as a good platform to introduce a lot of the themes of 40k. There were reports of an Eisenhorn TV series already being in development prior to the announcement of Henry and Amazon joining forces, but not much has been seen about this, so it could already be cancelled. However, it has the same drawbacks as the Gaunt's Ghost series. Whilst Eisenhorn is an undoubtedly cool character, I don't see a superfan like Henry blowing his one shot on a normal human.
5 years you'd make a very good Gregor Ryzen, is what I think.
That would be exciting, yes, but then I burn Primarchs.
I could potentially see Amazon using an Eisenhorn series that could be produced relatively cheaply to then justify spending more money on a big budget show if there are indications of success. Lastly, there is the Dark Imperium trilogy. It explores the desperate struggle for survival in a war-torn galaxy in the 41st millennium, filled with intricate political machinations, intense battles, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. This could potentially be a good middle ground between the grand scope of the Horus Heresy and the much smaller narrative of Eisenhorn. The story picks up at a logical point that GW is trying to expand, and there are Primarch-level characters which I believe are the sort of protagonists Henry would wish to play. It also heavily features the poster boys of 40k, the Ultramarines, who are a Space Marine chapter, and my personal favourite too. The only downside I can think of is cost. You would need a significant CGI budget to do Space Marines and other characters justice. It really depends on how deep Amazon's pockets are. The examples given, I think, could all be used as potential starting points for the upcoming Warhammer 40k cinematic universe. I wholeheartedly recommend checking the novels out too. If you haven't read anything in this universe before, start with the Horus Heresy series would be my recommendation. Don't worry, you don't need to read all 62 volumes. I personally feel Amazon will go for a smaller budget series at first, like Eisenhorn or Gaunt's Ghost, to prove the concept before expanding the potentially grander and more expensive endeavours like the Horus Heresy or Dark Imperium. I think it's important to remember that there will likely be conflicting interests. Games Workshop will want to bring the IP to a much wider audience. Amazon will likely want to start a cinematic universe that can pull viewers in, as the likes of the Rings of Power haven't been a total success, and also make as much as they can from any license deals. Finally, Henry will be wanting to bring the setting he loves to existing fans and new audiences alike. Until more concrete information is released, all we can do is make educated guesses. As a 40k fan, I can only say exciting times are hopefully ahead. And what do you think? If you're new, is this a series that you'll check out? And if you're familiar with the franchise, where do you believe it will start? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And that is all, folks. Time for you to go on your merry way and for me to get back to painting my minis.